Good morning YouTube and welcome back in In-Flightsim. Today we're going to be having a look at the air-to-surface modes and weapon delivery for the Eurofighter Typhoon. We're going to look at how to designate targets and the different modes that we can use to deliver the weapons. So today we are at Luke Air Force Base in Arizona, and we're going to be going down to the Barry Goldwater weapons range, which I've got some scenery for. So this is our area that we're going to be operating in. We're probably going to just stay up around these areas here. So let's talk about how to enter the coordinates for dropping a weapon. We'll go ahead and turn some power on here anyway, just so we can get things started. So we're going to head over into the air-to-surface page here on the left-hand glare shield. Here is where you're going to be able to select your air-to-ground weapon, enter your laser code, enter the coordinates for your target, and so on. So let's go in here. If you click PP Enter, this is where you can enter the coordinates for your target. It's important to know that there are several different ways that the coordinates around the globe are recorded. For the Typhoon, it uses decimal degrees, I think it is, or DD, rather than any other method. So if we have a look on my PDF here for my targets, this is how it'll be formatted. So we're going to go and try and hit this bullseye, which is up here. So I've got a copy of this on my iPad in front of me, so I don't have to keep referring back to the chart. But that's what we're going to go to put in. So for our lat, it's going to be north 32. Decimal 762 056. Longitude is we are west 112 693 693 875. And our altitude is in meters, not in feet. So we are 367. And that's our target entered. Now, it's very important to understand when you're flying the aircraft. Say if you've got a flight plan loaded and you have it in the flight plan mode, or GPS mode rather than the nav mode. So it takes you to the next steer point, you have all the heading and distance information up here. You'll see once we get airborne, it'll give us some options here. We'll have CCIP, auto, manual, which are the weapon delivery methods, and we have either target of opportunity, TOO, or PP, or pre-planned. If you have a flight plan loaded and you're in the GPS mode, if you go into PP mode on here, the aircraft will assume that your next waypoint is your target, or that's how I seem to understand it. And for that reason, I don't necessarily use that mode when I've got a flight plan loaded. I have got a flight plan loaded today, which is just going to take me out to the range. So here we can see you've got that's my first waypoint. So if you have got a flight plan loaded, make sure you go back into nav mode rather than GPS. So I can admit this is GPS mode. I want to go back into nav mode before you enter the air-to-surface mode, otherwise you'll lose your coordinates that you just entered, and it'll just focus on your waypoint as your target. But I'll show you that as we get airborne. and you'll see some more options here. I can't show you at the minute because we're on the ground. Also, it's important to know that you need to have a laser code for your targeting pod, otherwise you're not dropping a precision weapon, you're just dropping a dumb bomb. You know, it's not going to guide to anywhere. So you can click on that. It can be anything but 000. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's all zeros, then it's effectively not lasing anything. Next, you want to make sure that this switch here is turns your pod on, essentially, your designator on. So it goes from standby to live or combat. Make sure it's in combat. We also want to make sure our weapon live train switch is in live again, otherwise you will not be able to drop a weapon. So if we go down here, this is our stores page. So as you can see, we've got 2 GBUs fitted, and then we've got Brimstone fitted as well. Now, to select your weapons, or to load the aircraft with the weapons, you can press Shift and 4. It'll bring up this pop-up menu. So here are your air-to-surface weapons. We've got freefall and propelled. So Brimstone, Storm Shadow and Harm are all propelled, and the GBUs are obviously freefall, even though all of them are guided. So the guided weapons all work within the same principle as I'll discuss. So it'll give us, we'll have CCIP, auto and manual mode, whereas the propelled surface weapons will you should only be able to use the auto or manual release methods. But I'll show you that as we get airborne, or once we're airborne. So, goes without saying, make sure you have a pod fitted if you're going to be doing any target designation. You'll see once we select our weapon, we'll get the your pod picture will come up here, and we'll be able to see the target. So with that out of the way, I'll come back to you again once we're in the air. Okay, so now that we're airborne, I can show you a bit more of the system. So if we go ahead and enter the air-to-surface mode, like this, it'll automatically bring up our target designation pod. So it's a bit bright at the minute, I think it's because of my settings. So we'll go ahead and zoom that out. At the minute, it's just pointing where we're pointing, essentially. So we're going to go ahead and select our GBUs. And we're going to go, as you can see here, it brings up our delivery methods and our target designation methods. So currently we are in CCIP mode, so that is basically, I think it's called continuously computed impact point. So that'll just keep adjusting, which is where you get this bomb fall line here, and at the bottom there's a crosshair. Wherever that crosshair is where the bomb will land, essentially. Which I'll show you that delivery method as well. But to start with, we're going to go in the auto mode. Now what this is doing is it'll automatically, here you can see up at the top, it gives us a countdown timer to our first target. Now, what automatic will do is, when you are within about 2 or 3 seconds from it counting to 0, what we have to do is hold the pickle button, and the aircraft will automatically release the weapon at the correct time. So when that's when your countdown timer is at 0, 0, 0, 0. Manual mode is exactly the same, however, the aircraft will not automatically release the weapon. It is up to you to release the weapon when the timer gets to 0. So you can, when you're in manual mode, you can release it early and you can release it late. When you're in automatic mode, you can't. You can only release it one way, which is when the aircraft determines that it's the best time to release. So as you can see now, we are flying off to our first target. Okay, so currently I want to take, as you can see I'm in the GPS mode here. If I come out of that and go into nav mode and then go from target of opportunity to pre-planned, the coordinates that I entered earlier is now where the targeting pod will fixate, and you can see here we have a flashing diamond. That is the target. If I turn my HMS on and look outside the cockpit, you can see that is where it is. If the target was over there, it would be flashing right there. This is one of the beauties of using the HMS. So, whereas if I go back to, if I was still in the GPS mode of the navigation, the PP or pre-planned target would automatically be at the first waypoint, which is not what we want. So, we'll turn on to our track for the target. As you can see, I'm being told in the HUD that my late arm is safe. This is another setting that I have to have in the live position in order to release the weapon. So you can see, I'm now live. I can now release the weapon. So, because I'm in the auto mode, as I described earlier, all I have to do is, when this timer is roughly about 3 seconds before it is counted down completely, I just have to hold the pickle button and the aircraft will then release the weapon. So, as you can see, the pod has picked up my target. You can kind of make it out there. Just a little like hut in the middle of this bullseye. It will become clearer as we get closer to the target. So I have 40 seconds-ish to release. So I'm in live, my pod is in combat, so it's blazing, which is why you get the flashing crosshairs there. My late arm is live, which is this switch here, so that's safe, that's live. So, you see the countdown timer, come on, it's 10 seconds, getting close now. You can see this is your release cue, 3 seconds, holding the pickle button down. And now we have released 1 GBU. You can see here it's gone from 2 to 1. Keep watching this page, we should see it hit the target. Looks like a little bit of cloud there. Boom. Target hit. And it's as easy as that. So that's one method of picking a target or identifying a target. The other method, which is it's pretty cool. This aircraft has this HMS system, helmet mounted symbology. At the minute we are in the air to surface mode, so we get these crosshairs. This crosshair in the middle here. This is our aiming cue. So now wherever we look around, wherever that crosshair is, if I pull the trigger, not the pickle button, the trigger, that will now designate a target. That target is now there. So let's try to see if we this is a lot easier to use if you've got something like TrackIR or you use VR. So let's see if I can get it on the circle coming up. Oh, no, just missed that there. And a little bit off to the left, but you get the idea. So again, the aircraft now, because we're still in auto mode, will now continue to give us a countdown to a time to release. But I've just shown you that one. So we'll go and now look at CCIP mode. The CCIP mode, as I briefly described earlier, this is your bomb 4 line, and at the bottom is a set of crosshairs. So we'll come around back onto the target. So we'll see it down there. So you see the pod is still designating that target that I've identified. If we roll in, you see here there's a crosshairs coming up on that bomb 4 line. When those crosshairs come over the target that you want, like so, pick a button, and the weapon is released.
Reversionary envelope.
Just a bit too long there. But that's how CCIP works, and that's just another method also of identifying a target. So let's take a look at the Brimstone. This principle works the same as the Storm Shadow and the Harm. So I've entered the coordinates for another target, the same way as I did before. So PP enter here, and it'll bring up the coordinates page there, and I've entered different coordinates for another weapon, for another target. Now, Brimstone and Storm Shadow and Harm only have auto and manual options available. Now, I think the range of Brimstone is about 17 miles. So here, as you can see, it's got a distance to the target and a countdown timer. Once that countdown timer reaches 0, you are now within range of the target for the Brimstone to be able to hit the target. If I fired it now, the Brimstone missile would fall short. Once it goes past 000 on the time to release, the Brimstone will hit the target. And it's the same in auto. You won't be allowed to release, or the aircraft won't allow you to release the weapon until that countdown timer hits 0. So we are 15 seconds away from being able to release it. So now we are within release parameters. We can just go ahead and fire one off. Pick a button. And away it goes. So we'll follow it in, and you should be able to see it hit the target. Also with manual, as you can see, the countdown timer has now disappeared, which means that again you are within range to release the weapon. It's giving you that cue that you can release the weapon. Obviously, because if you are in manual mode, you will be able to release it early, but as I said, the weapon will just fall short of your target, so you've effectively wasted a weapon. So it should be up there somewhere. We'll follow it in, and we should see it hit the bull. There's another bullseye target that I've put in, and we should see it any minute now. You can see it's coming down. There it is. Keep an eye on our targeting pod display. Boom, direct hit. Now, some of you are probably asking, how do I get the coordinates for to be able to enter into the aircraft, especially if they're in decimal degrees? I just use Google Earth. You can go into settings on there and change the type of coordinates you want to see, and then it also gives you the elevation as well if you wanted to do that. So that's how we release weapons from the Typhoon, and how we designate them. I hope you found this tutorial informative. I'm not an expert on the subject, but that's how I do it whenever I want to go and have some fun blowing some stuff up. If you've got any questions, leave comments down below. I'll try and help you if I can. But as always, please like the video, comment this video, share this video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.